My recent video on reviews and the fact that I believe measurements really need to go with subjective reviews, as you would figure, it is like discussions about, isolation feet, power conditioners, audio cables, you knew that it was going to drum up a flurry of comments and opinions, and that's exactly what it did. But what's very interesting, because I was expecting that, what's very interesting is that a number of people started discussing, YouTube channels, YouTube reviewers, or YouTube influencers, however you want to look at them. And there was a lot of predominantly negativity towards that, and it's something that I thought maybe I should talk about a little bit and see at least what my opinion is, and maybe we can have more discussion and think about this. So, let's go back to the traditional print media, many of which do have, at least some of their reviewers, they do have online content. Some of them are heavily invested in YouTube and have their own YouTube channels, which are affiliated, of course, with the magazine that they write for. But so the professionals are there. But when I say professional, what makes a professional reviewer? What? Because you're on the masthead of a magazine? As far as I understand it, there are no requirements for any sort of qualifications or anything. I mean, you have to be able to write, obviously, but do you really have to have been even somebody around audio for a long time? Do you have to prove that you have a decent reference system that you can, review expensive products, for instance, with? All of these things. Now, I admittedly, I don't know how this works. I don't know anybody in the audio or audiophile magazine business well enough that I could call them up and say, hey, how do you hire these people? What makes them a professional? I guess it's maybe like a professional writer. If you're a professional writer and you get paid for writing, then I guess you can write reviews and you're a professional reviewer. But what came out of a lot of the discussion about these, I don't want to call them amateur YouTube reviewers, because some of them have really, really good content and are, frankly, in some cases better than the pros. But what came out of the comments was, why would you trust it to some guy who doesn't know what he's doing, who has no credentials, and potentially might give your company's product a bad review, and what's the recourse? Well, the reality is that even with the print magazines, if you get a bad review, most of the time you don't have any recourse. You sent an item that was requested to be reviewed, and you get an honest review out of it, and you have to roll with the punches, right? Sometimes, no matter how confident you are with your product and how good you believe it sounds, and your customer base and maybe even many other reviewers have all agreed it's great, you're going to get somebody who doesn't like the product. That is the fact of the matter when it comes to listening to audio equipment. That people have different tastes, they have different biases. So, what's to say that these amateur reviewers can't do just as good a job? I guess part of the problem that I have is you don't really know what the intent or what the background is of some unknown person reviewing any sort of product on YouTube, for instance. We're probably all aware of paid reviews. They are a scourge of the earth. I mean, how do you ever look online and get a valid or some list of reviews by so-called consumers that you can trust, when in every case, it doesn't matter what the platform is, some of those reviews are not real. They have been paid for and bought by whoever is selling the product. So it's almost a little bit of the discussion here is, how do we review the reviewers? How do we have confidence in their abilities? And as a manufacturer, how do you know they're going to do a good job with the product and not, that there's not some background deal where you know, for instance, they're getting paid by another speaker company that's, you know, they're getting great reviews on all their products and mediocre reviews for all the competitors. How do you know that? Well, that's the difficult thing. And for me, all that I can do to really personally vet, you know, a YouTuber who's reviewing audio equipment is to watch a bunch of their videos. If you see particularly strange trends going on, like they always give a glowing review to a particular company's products, or they're tending not to make, you know, if they're reviewing, let's say, $400 bookshelf speakers, and the most popular one that we know of on the market isn't ever reviewed. Okay, yeah, maybe the manufacturer didn't want to send them one, but if you're serious about this, pony up the $400 and go and get the biggest competitor so you can throw it into the mix. It's just things like that, but you know, we'll never know. It's a comfort level too, I think. You have to, you know, if you're a manufacturer, you need to call these people up or email them or have a Skype chat or whatever and get a feel for them. It's like anything else. But I'm really curious to know, because I find that some of the content, some of the audio related content on YouTube is extremely well done. There are a lot of people that are extremely talented, and they're doing much better and more in-depth coverage than the professional reviewers do in the print magazines. So I would love to know what your opinion is. I've heard from some of you already, like I said in the comments to the reviews and measurements video that I did recently, but I'd love a bigger discussion to try and see, because I'm interested as well. What do you think of these guys? Do you give them any credibility? Actually, any reviewer, how do you know, or how do you personally vet or review the reviewer? You know, what are your criteria to say, I'm going to believe what this guy says or this lady says, or I'm not? What is it? So I'd love to hear your comments. Thanks as always for watching. And you know, the comments are so important to us, because like this video, this is where I get ideas for things that people are interested in learning about or talking about, and it just makes a better channel. Thanks a lot for watching.